Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I am so excited to announce a challenge that I am going to be starting. It's free, and I'm calling it the Sketchbook Floozie Challenge because if you're like me, you've got piles of sketchbooks. You have more than one sketchbook going at a time. You are a downright floozie, a sketchbook floozie. So if you're a sketchbook floozie and you want to actually use the stuff you have instead of just adding to the pile, then join the challenge. What I'm going to do is post a reference photo that I take on Instagram. I'll try to post it on Facebook too, but I'll definitely have it on Instagram, and I am at Lindsay Weirich on Instagram, and invite you to sketch along, invite you to create from my reference photo in whatever medium you like. You can tag me at Lindsay Weirich and use the hashtag Sketchbook Floozie, and we can cheer each other on and we can get our stuff used, because I love doing different challenges I find on Instagram. And yesterday I was walking the dog and I saw this pretty purple flower growing. I picked up some moss. I found a feather and I'm like, oh, this would be so pretty to paint. And then I thought, well, why keep it to myself? Why not share it? Why not try to inspire others the way that I've been inspired in the past from different art challenges? So if this sounds like a good idea to you, then just jump in, join along, and have fun. And I hope it inspires you, because honestly, using my supplies feels really good, but watching them gather dust feels really bad. So let's bring the good vibes back to our art. Let's feel proud of our stuff because we use it instead of ashamed of our stuff because we hoard it. And yeah, I was feeling kind of gross that I had so much stuff that was just collecting dust. And this is going to help me use it more. I hope it helps you use your supplies more. And yeah, every day we can have a different chance to do something new. Now I'm only going to post like one thing a week for the Sketchbook Floozie Challenge, but I will encourage you to draw as much as you want to, as much as you can. And the thing that I love about using a sketchbook is that you get a brand new chance every page, right? It's not like one precious canvas. You've got a book that's full of many sheets. It's less expensive. It's less precious. And the only way to really improve your drawing skills and your painting skills is to draw and paint. Watching videos will inform you a bit, but it's really not going to teach you anything until you put that brush to paper. It's like you can't learn how to speak another language until you actually start speaking the language. You can't learn it in theory and have it be fully taught to you. So I just want to inspire people to use what they have, not to spend money, and to feel good about the things that they've collected. And if you're like me, you love collecting sketchbooks and making sketchbooks. Honestly, I was making a sketchbook the other day, and I'm like, Lindsay, have you lost your mind? Why are you making a sketchbook? You have so many sketchbooks. You need to use your sketchbooks. But still, it's fun to make sketchbooks. It's fun to try new sketchbooks. And yeah, I was doing a live stream for World Watercolor Month last week, and I was saying that it was nice to work in one sketchbook for a month, because generally I'm a sketchbook floozie and I jump from book to book to book. And then I was also thinking I would like to start an art challenge online, and then I thought, what am I going to call it? And then it was like, duh, I got to call it Sketchbook Floozie, because I mean, I think that's just such a most fitting name, right? We just go and jump from book to book to book, and we can never get enough, and we're just unabashedly enjoying our hobby. Yeah, we're Sketchbook Floozies, and we're proud of it. I hope you are too. Let me know in the comments below. Are you a floozie? Are you a sketchbook floozie? Let me know. I hope that I'm not the only one out there. But if I can inspire you to create more work and to use those sketchbooks, I'm gonna do it. I am so excited for this. And I found that whenever I have an idea that I'm really excited about, I should just do it. Because, you know, you gotta trust your gut. You gotta trust those first instincts. Anytime I've had a feeling like this and I've jumped in and did it, I have never regretted it. So what I've done here so far is I've put in a background, and you can see I'm looking at my phone. I've got my reference photo on my phone. It's unedited. I set the still life up and I took a pic. Now I was going to sit outside on my deck where I took the photo and paint there, but I tried going out there to paint twice and it started raining each time. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go down and do this in my studio. And then I thought, why not turn on the camera? So you see my head pop in there every once in a while, because generally when I'm working on a sketchbook and I'm just kind of painting for my own enjoyment and not filming, I like to get my head right over the sketchbook. So I'm looking at it like at a 90-degree angle so that it prevents distortion and then I can see the detail a little bit better. So keep that in mind. If you're struggling seeing what you're doing, maybe you need to like get directly over it or put your work on an easel so you're completely flush on to the picture. I'm pretty good at overcompensating for that because I do so much work to be filmed. But when I've got my druthers and I'm not thinking about filming like I am when I'm doing these sketchbook layouts, I'm just putting my head right over there. So excuse my my crazy frizzy just washed hair and my glasses and all of that. But hey, keeping it real, man. I'm a floozy. I'm keeping it real. I'm a sketchbook floozy. This little shot glass, I love using this in still lives because it's got this really thick glass bottom that just catches a light and is so pretty. And I'm using gouache. I'm using my M-gram gouache. I also, all the colors in that bottom row are M-gram, and then I've got a Lucas yellow ochre, and I've got a Daniel Smith white because I didn't have a white in M-gram for some reason. And I'm getting ready to do a review on the M-gram gouache. This is the third painting I've done with this little palette, and I've had the paint for years, but I thought I would add it into my gouache review series, my artist grade gouache review series, just to be a little bit more comprehensive and have another brand to, I don't know, have out there, I guess. I honestly think it doesn't really matter. If you get an artist grade gouache, you're probably going to get something pretty good, and you can totally mix and match, in my opinion. But this little piece of, I don't know if it's moss or lichen. I think it's like the old man's beard, I think is the name of it. You see it all the time, but there was a chunk of it on the ground in the backyard, and I just picked it up. I thought it was really pretty. I love that seafoamy green color, and it was kind of a challenge to mix it with these colors that I have from M-gram. I think that if I was going to buy some more M-gram gouache, I would definitely get ultramarine blue, the quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue. I would go for those more intense colors and the less like ones that look really bright in your palette, because they're not as deep in value or in color saturation. So it's only so dark you're going to get. My quote unquote black in the painting is the cobalt blue with the burnt sienna. And these paints were sent to me from M-gram about probably 10 years ago. I think the company's been sold and bought since then. But I had done a charity auction, and I had used their paints to paint this tray that was auctioned off for a children's museum. And they sent me some of their gouache paints they sent me a few different paints as a thank you, which was really sweet. But anyway, big old head in the way. Keeping it real. So one thing I do when I'm working in a sketchbook a lot, especially if I'm painting something that's symmetrical, is I flip it upside down. And that helps me straighten out edges and get things looking a little bit right. Because remember what I told you about the compensating? Sometimes you're sitting back and you're looking at something at an angle. And if you get in there and you look at it straight on, you put it on an easel, or you stand it up on a shelf and you back up and you look at it, you can see where things are off. Sometimes taking a photo of it or holding it up to a mirror, it will help you see what's off. Flipping your sketchbook around upside down will help you see what's off. And I find that when I'm kind of getting frustrated with something like a jar or a vase or anything else that's supposed to be symmetrical, a portrait, then I'll flip my sketchbook upside down and I can usually see where I'm off and then make a correction, and trust your gut. And that's something that comes with practice. And that's really why I want to do this sketchbook challenge, and why I want to encourage people to draw more often and use their supplies, because that's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to build confidence. That's how you are going to get faster and more accurate. And that's the reason I created my 30 Days to Better Painting class a couple months ago, because I want people to paint more often and just get in there, even if it's just 30 minutes a day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, get in there, create, and move on, because it's that daily practice. It's that stuff you do every day that moves the needle. It's not the thing you do once a week. It's the thing you do every day, even if it's just a few minutes a day, even if all that you have is like a tiny little sketchbook and a pencil tucked between the cushions in your couch, so you can just grab it and sketch for a few minutes before bed, or when you're relaxing in the evening. That it all adds up, and doing something every day builds those good habits. I'll link to that course in case you're interested, but really this video, I want to inspire you to sketch every day, and just let you know about the challenge that I'm going to post on Instagram in case you want to follow me and take part in it. Because like I said, it's free. Let's encourage each other. Please encourage other people you see during the challenge too. If you're on Instagram, if you post your sketchbook floozy painting for the week, click on that hashtag, see what other people are doing, drop a heart, leave an encouraging word for a friend, or you might make new friends. That's what I love about this art community. You make new friends, and it's so nice to see other people who are excited about what you're excited about. The freeing thing about using gouache in a sketchbook is that it's opaque. and I don't have to plan so much. I can just jump right in. I can do a quick pencil sketch, and then I can start painting it. And even if I go over my lines and or I miss an edge or I make a mistake in my drawing, I can fix it because gouache is opaque and I can layer it up. I like to use my first layers of gouache like a watercolor kind of, and then build up a little bit thicker as I go, kind of like you would in, it's kind of like a fat over lean rule, except with oil paints, you'd be adding more oil to your mix and maybe using thicker passages of paint. But in gouache, you're starting with a thinner paints and using thicker paints as you go up. Never thick enough that it's like textured and it would crack, but just using it a little bit more straight from the tube as you get a little bit further on the painting. Now, a problem that I have with this selection of colors that I have is that my red is too warm, and it doesn't make a very good violet. And this I'm not sure what this flower is, but it was so pretty. It's just this little purple wildflower, and it was growing in our back field. There was a bunch of them, so I picked one. I usually don't pick the flowers because I like to see them like staying alive in nature. But I'm like, oh, that's gonna be so pretty. And but I couldn't get that fuchsia color of the flower because my red was too warm. It was too yellow or too orange leaning. But what I think I'm going to do, actually, now that I actually recorded their review for the M-Gram gouache by now, I think I'm going to add my Holbein colors into this palette because it's going to expand it so much better. And honestly, if I was making, maybe I should just use up some of these colors and make my perfect palette, because I would prefer the Daniel Smith Ultramarine to this M-Gram Cobalt Blue, and I definitely would love to add the Holbein colors that I have in there too, because I think that's the best deal as far as artist grade gouache currently, and the best little set too. But I like this palette. I feel like I've got a good amount of mixing area. I do like the M-Gram paints. I squeezed them out a few days ago. They're still just as juicy as they were, and they're easy to use. They're not my favorite. I don't think they're my favorite gouache though, but they're not bad. They're not bad. I can't complain. And this was just a lot of fun to do. I love being able to build the texture up with the gouache by dry brushing. I'm using a fairly dry brush here and just kind of dragging. A lot of times I'll go in with the brush and my brush fairly well loaded, I'll paint things like details like the nails or the divisions between the boards on my little coffee table there, my outdoor coffee table, and then I'll go in with what's left of my paint and my brush. I won't reload. I'll just kind of drag it over the wood grain or over places where I want a little bit more of a rough texture. I love to go in and add highlights with and dry brush on like a color that's got a lot of white in it, and catch any of those ridges with that dry brush with some white in it. And I feel like that's a really nice texture contrast compared to the little shot glass. It's really glossy and shiny and reflective. And then we've got the soft textures of the moss and the feather. And then we got the rough texture of the wood. I just love those contrasts. And that's when I'm walking, oftentimes I will take photos. And that's the other thing. I'll be walking the dog and it will just have rained and there'll be a leaf on the ground that's covered with dewdrops, and I'll take a picture of it. I take these little random photos all the time, and I don't do anything with them other than maybe sketch on my own, because I don't feel like my photos are good enough as photos to like contribute to Unsplash or any of the other like photo reference sites, because I'm not a photographer. I don't have that skill. But when I'm doing these challenges online on Instagram, like the food paint challenge and the shiny paint challenge and the liquid paint challenge, the photos are pretty ordinary. They're like something I could have taken. But the artists are magicians. We're all magicians as artists, and we can see the beauty in these ordinary things and really bring it out. And so I'm like, well, I can share your pretty ordinary still life photo that I've taken, and then I can, make it more magical with my paint. And I know you can do the same. So I think that's a good place to share my mediocre photography skills, because then we can show the muggles how we see the world, the beauty that we see in everyday objects. And I want to be a part of the world that encourages that and that inspires people, instead of inspiring, people just to buy more art supplies. I want to inspire people to use their art supplies. And I know that probably sounds rich for somebody that does so many product reviews, but I'm trying. I'm trying. I want to make the world a better place, not just a more crowded and cluttered place, I guess. So that's my intent anyway. And I hope that you are down for this challenge and you want to give it a try. And like I said, I'll be sharing the reference photos on my Instagram account, and I'll try to remember to put it on Facebook. I will put it on my blog too. So, and my blog does post to my Facebook business page, so you'll be able to find it there. Yeah, I just hope however you enjoy using the internet, you can find my stuff and you can paint along. Now, I did decide to use a little colored pencil here. I don't know if it really helped that much, but I was feeling like my colors just weren't saturated enough, and I wanted or dark enough in value, so I wanted to kind of perk them up a little bit with some pencils. I have a variety of Prismacolor, Holbein, kind of I think that's pretty much what I used here, but I do have some like Arteza and Brutfuner and Marco Tributes in the rack next to where I sit to draw. So, anything's game, honestly. You can use whatever brand you have. We're using so little of it here. It's just basically to pump up colors. So use what you have handy, and just kind of increase my shadows where needed. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So if you want to paint this still life and post it online, use the hashtag Sketchbook Floozie and tag me at Lindsay Weirich on Instagram. And I would love to see what you create and encourage each other, because let's keep each other motivated, right? Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up before you go. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.